Welcome to Okon Bros. This is Eric.
I'm Michael, and if you want to learn the secrets of the universe, the law of attraction, mysticism, brohood, gambling, movies, pop culture, archangels, magic, good food, business, health, family, and mediumship, smash that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, press the bell notification for notifications, and spread this video around like peanut butter and jelly.
So today we have on Alan Chapman, aka Shaman Oaks. He is an energy healer who is on a mission to change the world by opening people's eyes, minds, and hearts. He has a YouTube channel called Shaman Oaks, where he does daily energy healings and interviews interesting people. You can check out shamanoaks.com for more information. Thank you for coming on, Alan.
Wow, thank you guys for having me. I'm really excited to do this.
Likewise.
Appreciate you coming on. Alan, when I first came across your videos, you look like someone that plays Warzone, that eats in gastropubs, that's so not spiritual. Someone that is just so not into mediumship and, out of body experiences. You're like a young guy, right? Like you look cool, you're young, you're hip. Has this been a fascination of yours for a long time, learning about spirituality?
No, not at all. I started off like a conservative Christian in Texas, and then I kind of fell out of religion, fell out of spirituality, became all science-minded, super atheist. Like, if I can't prove it, I don't want any part of it. But then through a series of synchronicities and just weird events, and then also I started my channel because of a dream I had that I was going to die in a year. And then through that dream, I was like, well, I want to share some stories online. So I had been into psychedelics, and but I had gotten into DMT, smoking DMT, because I heard it was the closest you could come to having a near-death experience without dying. And I was always into near-death experiences because I was like, that's the only way to prove that there's life after death. Right. And then through that, it just slowly snowballed into the past life regressions and mediumship, and now healing.
My God.
But I fought it. I fought it hard. I did not want to believe in this.
Really? So, was there a book? Or was there a DMT trip that you did where you're like, okay, we're inhabiting meat suits, and there's something so much bigger than what we think we are?
Yeah, my first like DMT trip, I came out of my body. I saw my body collapse into a ball of light, and then I went through a tunnel, met up with this other ball of light that I knew that I immediately recognized from before I was a human. Like that was the thought. The first thought I had was like, when you if you run into someone that you used to know in elementary school, but you completely forgot they existed, is that exact same feeling where, I was like, I know that ball of light. And then we went on this like journey, and she showed me all these things. She taught me stuff, and it kept building me back this body and then destroying my body. And it destroyed my body in like 6 different ways. And it kept showing, and I would always end up back at the ball of light. And so it was basically showing me over and over again, you are not your body. Stop thinking about your body. That's not you. And it was like, see your body? Break it apart. That's not you. You're this ball of light. So stop thinking about
Have you ever done ayahuasca?
I have. Yeah, I've done it 6 times. So about a year ago, I went down to Peru and did ayahuasca.
And how does that compare to DMT? Like, what's the different experiences? Like, what does one give you versus the other?
Well, ayahuasca gives you diarrhea and vomiting. That's the one thing it gives you. I didn't. A lot of people have mystical, cool experiences on ayahuasca. I had one where I hung out with God. I've had DMT experiences where I hung out with God as well. But the first ayahuasca experience was super tough. It felt like there was this. It was saying we, but it made me really, really sick, and I was fighting it because I didn't want to throw up. I didn't want to have the whole purging aspect, and I felt like I was bullied for 6 hours and just incredibly sick. And I never wanted to do it again. I was like, I'm done. I'm walking away from this. I'm just done. So I waited until everybody else had done it. And I'm like, well, other people have good experiences, because it was a treat, a week-long retreat. And I was like, if other people have good experiences, I will be brave enough to try it. And I had a psychologist there. And I talked to the psychologist, because in the DMT trip, it said, you don't know what you're doing. You should delete your YouTube channel. You shouldn't be talking about any of this sort of stuff. You don't know what you're doing. And then, so then I went and talked to a psychologist, and I was like, it wants me to delete my YouTube channel. And it was like really mean to me. And I felt sick. I felt horrible. I don't want to do this again. And he goes, that's like common. He goes, just do it again a second time. I guarantee you it'll be better. And he goes, if it's not better, you can come and punch me in the face. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I did. And the second time I went, I hung out with God, and he was like answering questions for me. Well, I shouldn't say that. The first like 3 or 4 hours of this experience, I was just in awe. I was just staring at this thing and this presence. And I was just dumbfounded. I'm like, of course there's a God. Of course there's an afterlife. Of course it's super loving. Because I was having doubts about that part as well because of the first experience. And for the first, I guess 3 to 4 hours of the trip, I couldn't think of anything to say. And I was like, oh, I can feel that this is going to wear off and I'm going to lose this connection. I said, please don't leave me. Please don't leave me. Like, I need this feeling. And it goes, I'll never leave you. You just won't feel disconnected, but I'm always there. I promise. And then I was like, oh, before the experience happened, I said, please, I don't want to throw, because I felt like I could ask questions in my head and it would answer me. So the first question I asked was, I don't want to throw up. Or the first thing I said was, I don't want to throw up. And he goes, well, you don't have to if you don't want to. And I'm like, okay. And then I felt myself felt myself starting to dry heave a little bit. I felt like I was getting sick. And I go, well, you said I didn't have to throw up. And it goes, you haven't thrown up, have you? And I was like, okay, well, I don't want to dry heave either. And it's like, okay. And so all of a sudden that feeling went away. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, wow, this is really cool. Like, you're like listening to me. And she was like, I'm always listening to you and I'm always responding to you. But people, one, they're not specific enough in what they're asking for. So like, oh, I want to be rich, or I want to be healthy. Okay, you might be healthy in your next life, or you might be healthy, in 10 years. So you need to have I need to ask specifically. And then you need to, what was the other thing? I don't remember right now, but.
So who, hold on one sec. Who were you talking? Were you talking to God? Were you talking to another angel? Who were you talking to?
That one felt like God. It was just this, but what it was just like this, I wouldn't say cube, but it was like this very intricate geometrical thing that was like building, and it'd be super intricate, and I'd be like, there's no way this is in my mind. This is super complex. And then it would break apart into something even more intricate. And it just kept it almost like it was showing off. It was like the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. This is even more beautiful and even more beautiful.
Alan, were you watching a TV screen? Were you watching a movie screen? Or was this you physically right now? Like right now, I'm talking into a microphone. I have a monitor in front of me. My cell phone's here. I got some trinkets around. I see this in front of me. Were you watching this in the screen? Or was it the cube right in front of you, like right here? You felt physical. Did you feel your body in this experience?
I definitely was. It's like if you walk outside, say if you go downtown in any city and there's massive buildings all around you, that's what it felt like. Like it felt massive and I was inside of it. So it's like being in the middle of downtown and looking around.
Really? Oh, so what you weren't watching it, but you felt like you were in it, like you were in the city or wherever this was.
Yeah, just the same as like you'd be watching a building. If say a building was building itself in downtown, and you can see other buildings off in the distance, and it just goes on seemingly forever. That's what it was like. But I was in the environment. Were you asleep when this was happening? Were you laying down flat? Were you sitting and meditating? Was this in your mind's eye? I mean, it was way more vivid and real than this. Really? And I was sitting. Yeah. So I was sitting with my eyes closed because they don't want you to lay down, because if you're laying down, you could get sick and throw up. Mm-hmm. So you want to be sitting, but it was like I was just there. It was like being in two places at the same time, but I was more there than here.
So did that open up your third eye, so to speak?
I wouldn't say that. I would just say it's given me that connection. So now whenever I want to be connected, I just remember that. I remember that experience. Mm-hmm. Like, how has that affected you from day to day? Like you getting up, brushing your teeth, going to the bathroom, like putting on your clothing. Does that experience
dealing with other people?
Yeah. Like, do people, do you feel that experience in your soul?
Yeah, but it makes it, I will say it's actually made spirituality harder for me.
How so?
When you hear all these people talk about these experiences of, oh, it's angels or it's this or it's, I don't know. I've never found anyone that describes spirituality in the way that I experienced it, if that makes sense.
Right. Right.
Like it's not like what you see in, a painting, or it wasn't for me.
Really?
I watched your video on your website where you were explaining synchronicities
Mhm.
and with Evil Dead, and then seemingly unconnected topics, and then you were able to connect them. Is that happening all around us all the time? We're just not noticing, or is it very specific when somebody or something wants to get your attention about something?
That's a good question. It's happening to me. I feel like the more I'm on this journey, the more often it happens. Like at the beginning, I was writing them all down because they were just like shocking to me, and I was trying to figure out, is it a message or is it the universe showing off? What is it? But then they got to the point where they happen every few hours, and I'm just like, okay, this is just like,
Right.
I don't know. I've heard certain people tell me that they don't have synchronicities the way I do. They're just like, oh, I just see numbers. Oh, I just see 1111 or whatever. But I
Right.
see, if I have a conversation, I'll pick up my phone and I'll get on Reddit or YouTube. And then the very first video on there will be what I just talked about.
Yes.
Right.
So,
You literally just said angels, like just a few moments back.
mhm.
Are you familiar with archangels, with angels in themselves?
That's what I'm just starting to get into. So I'm very curious what you have to share.
Okay. All right.
Because I didn't believe in angels until I did who was it? Trisha Barker. I did an interview with Trisha Barker. She had a near-death experience and she talked about angels. And the way that she talked about it, I was like, okay, I'll start to believe in these.
So
I'll go down that.
we want this to be about you. We want
Yeah.
the show to be about you. We want to hear about your channel and everything, but we have a story. Eric, do you want me to
Please.
start or?
Well, yeah, no, just we go ahead.
All right. So basically, I'll give you for instance. I meditate frequently. So I was meditating down by my pool earlier in the summer of 2020, and something came right beside me. Now, I don't do drugs. I drink a handful of times a year. It's just not my thing. I don't disrespect it. It's not my thing. And as I was meditating, this thing came down. This huge foot landed right next to me. And again, I wasn't stoned. I wasn't doing anything. I was sitting by my pool and meditating. And I looked up at this thing, and he was gorgeous. He was gorgeous. He was ripped. He had massive angel wings. I'm getting the chills saying this. And he looked like a Brad Pitt almost, with brown curly hair, these big eyes, and like his chest hair was shaved under the tunic. It was like thin, tight to his skin chest hair. And I looked up, and I swear to God, I'm like, what is this? And it was gone in a second. The next day, I had a medium reading with this gentleman by the name of George Anderson, who we just interviewed. His show is live. Probably the gold standard in mediumship. The guy he's the Cadillac of the industry. Been going in for 30, 40 years, tells us things that no one on planet Earth can know. We lost our father 3 years ago. He had lung cancer. He beat it, and then COPD eventually got him. And before our father passed, my brother Eric and I said, you got to tell us the secrets of the universe when you get there, Dad. Because we feel that connection. We knew there's something beyond. He's going to shed his body and he's going somewhere else. Don't know what it looks like. Don't remember what it looks like. And my dad came through and told George Anderson to tell me that the archangels are on tap for the slightest prayer. And you have to start researching Raziel and Metatron. And I'm like, what? I'm like, archangels? What
Reading Psalms.
Reading Psalms. I'm like, look into the Kabbalah, and we're like, okay. So I looked into Raziel, and on my life, on everything I own, this is who landed right next to me.
Whoa.
Legit landed right next to me, looked at me, and then disappeared. And again, no drugs. Okay. No drugs, no drinking. Me meditating by my pool, not even sleeping. I was sitting up. And once you go down the archangel rabbit hole, Alan, whoa, my God.
They're especially responsive when you ask for attainable things that are like kind of just out of reach. If you're going to ask for $1 billion, you're not going to get $1 billion. But if you're going to say, I really want a house here, or, can you please let me sell my house really quickly? Or, I need this amount of money that's attainable just so I can get to like this level. That's where the magic really happens. And I spell magic with a K.
Our dad came through and literally told me to get this, but I'm not here to promote this guy. I don't know who he is, but the 72 Angels of Magick, Alan, we started working with the Archangels. We started working with the Archangels over the summer, and it's like this. Like, if you believe in law of attraction, which I wrote the book on law of attraction. I wrote this book called Just Ask the Universe. It's elementary school education. The archangels are PhD. What you're doing is PhD level stuff.
Wow.
Archangel. So what do you know? What have you been learning about archangels and angels and everything?
Well, so okay,
I'm sorry for kind of taking over. I apologize, but I had to say
no.
that.
I'm gonna go buy that book and listen to those podcasts. That sounds amazing. It's totally up my alley.
Awesome.
So I was like, I was on the fence about. Well, I got on to the believing in angels, but archangels, I was like, whatever. I mean, I'd heard about Metatron because of the Metatron's cube, but just because like that sounds like a transformer, so it just stuck in my mind, right?
Right.
About a month ago, I was doing. I do my energy healing, and I have a Patreon group. So every Sunday I do it, and there's a couple people on there that tend to get like psychic hits while I'm channeling energy. And I was doing the channeling, and afterwards I asked people for what their experiences was. And this one girl was like, I kept hearing this really weird name, like Metatron, Mega. And I was like, Metatron? And she's like, what is that? And I was like, that's an archangel. Like, for her to come up with that word, she didn't know anything about archangels. And the fact that she said that, and then someone else, like, they got, because they not only on Zoom, there's all these different eyes or whatever, but like different faces. And someone else's eyes got really big, and they're like, I heard that too. And I was like, hey, like, of all of the names, because when they go, Archangel Michael was here, then I'm like, I rolled my eyes. I would roll my eyes because I'm like, that's what everybody says. Right. But no one says Metatron. No one pulls that out of their bag.
Right.
So
yeah,
right.
That made me a believer.
It's very powerful, and you can do it as much or as little as you want, where you can just kind of, do some prayer in your head, or you can sit down and actually do the ritual with the sigil and do that whole type of thing. It's all very interesting. What I wanted to talk about is what you do on your channel daily, energy healing.
Okay.
What is that? How does it work?
Do you have to be trained in that? Is that something that anybody can do?
I like to believe everyone can do it. Yes. I was into mediumship, but I was not into healing. Like, I originally thought healing was something that, it was a bunch of adults playing pretend. Right. When my friends would first tell me about it. And then I went to I was at a mediumship course, and this guy was doing healing, and he did it. And it literally, felt like electricity was flowing through my body. All my eyes were twitching. And then I went and talked to him afterwards, and I was like, I think you just changed my life. How do I do this? And he was like, you just do it. You don't need to take a course. It's called getting in the power, where you just kind of imagine a beam of light going through your body. You hold on to that feeling, and then you just imagine another beam of light coming down through your head and like out through your heart or out through your hands. And then so I went back to, I went home after that, and I just would start texting people. Can I try this on you? Can I try this on you? And they said they could all feel it. And then so I started just doing it professionally. Like, I never took a course on it. I just realized after I got healed by that one guy, Paul Jacobs, who I have an interview with him as well on my channel. Yep. After I got healed with him, it's almost like I got turned on in a way. It was like my eyes always twitch whenever I'm around energy.
When you say healed, what were you healed from?
Yeah, I don't like that word. They just call it, they call it spiritual healing, and it's just, there's no real thing that you get healed from, I guess. You just get the energy, and the energy, you just trust that the energy is doing something for you. And sometimes it's physical, sometimes it's emotional, sometimes it's spiritual. Right. Sometimes you just don't even know what it's healing, but it's a lot of it's releasing past traumas and stuck emotions. That's what I say. Because a lot of people, when they get healed, or when they receive the energy, they'll have body jerks and jolts. They'll feel heat. They'll feel body tingles. A lot of people end up crying. Really? And I always say that's a release of past trauma. So a lot of things that we experience in our life, say we have a relationship and someone hurt us, but we're like, I'm not going to let them know they hurt me. That's taking your emotion, you're stuffing it down somewhere, and you'll store it somewhere in your body. And the longer and the more things you stuff in your body, the more it can manifest itself later as a disease, an illness, a sore back, neck, whatever. And so it's just about releasing that.
Interesting when you said that when you channel the energy through your head and then it go through your body, when you pray to the angels, that's exactly what you're doing. So that's actually pretty interesting. When you're saying Raziel, you're supposed to say it and imagine lightning hitting your chest to open yourself up to the universe and open yourself up actually to the angels. So that could be kind of all linked together, which is like very interesting.
Can't be like someone didn't like make this up, right? Like someone didn't say, well, just imagine lightning shooting down on the archangel side, and then you just came in and said this healer. And I was just watching the interview. The guy was is brilliant. That site, the Medium in I think it was London, right?
Yeah.
Like how, you know, where did they learn this from? Where did he learn this from? Is this taught from generation to generation?
Yeah, I mean, they're called spiritualists, and spiritualists are really big in the UK. And which is weird, as we came up with, like, spiritualism first started here in the US, and then it just fell out of favor. But yeah, I don't know. They say like the spirits teach them, so it's interesting.
Oh, the Archangels. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, the Archangels definitely, like, you feel it. It's weird. Like with your spiritual healing, I haven't done it yet. And believe me, I have some stuff that I would like to do. I'm dealing with vertigo at this moment, but like, I would like to learn how to do this for people, you know, and like, could I just imitate what you're doing on your channel?
That's what I tell everybody. That's what I think the only reason that I am successful in this is that I am crazy enough to believe that I can do it.
Have you gotten success stories? Have people written you and saying, dude, you help my...
Can you heal a physical issue?
I have. Yeah.
Really?
And then, so what I do is I just, well, it's not, again, I don't like to say I'm the healer. I just channel the energy. But what I do is I put a ball of white light on whatever I want to heal. My eyes will twitch. And whenever they're done twitching, I say, okay, it's done. And yeah, but people say it's some angels are working with me. Like everyone says, a lot of people that watch me say that they see an angel like behind me putting his hand on my shoulder or whatever, which is,
oh my God.
I go with it. I don't experience that so much, but I mean, well, I experienced something. There's definitely a surge of energy coursing through my body, and then people can feel it. So
what have you healed? What has been the most like, wow, I can't believe I just helped that person?
The coolest one was there was this lady that was in the hospital, and her mom or her daughter called or contacted me and was like, the doctors are saying she's not going to make it through the night. There's something I think it was like in her pancreas. And then it was like, can you do anything? And then I was like, I mean, we can try, sure. And then so I did it, put the ball of white light on the thing. I did it, but I heard in my head where I got this feeling that she wasn't going to make it. And so I even told her afterwards, I was like, I don't think that's going to work. I'm like, I'm not sure if it's going to work, but I'm welcome to try it again.
Right.
And then she was like, okay, I would love you to try it again. Cause like the next day she like woke up and she was like, oh, she's showing some improvement. And I was like, okay. And she's like, will you try it again? I tried it again. And then she kept, and so I did it again. And that time it was like, all of a sudden I got this feeling that no, she is going to make it. And she did end up making it. And she had like this surgery and got it removed, but the doctors weren't going to do the surgery at the beginning because they thought she was like going to die. Mm-hmm. That's not really, I'm trying to think if I can think of a better story than that one.
That's pretty amazing, man.
and then she thinks that it was because of me. Like she went and she met me at like a live thing that I went and done, and she was totally healthy now, came and hugged me, and she was just like, oh, I think you're the real deal. And I was like, I don't know about that. Like I didn't do anything. And she was like, that's why I think you're the real deal, because you won't take credit for it. And I was like, I always get shy about it. So I don't know. But there's people, I'm trying to think of something specific. There was someone who had breast cancer who came to me, and she said the doctors say it went away. So, and then she's still, God. But mostly what I think for most people, it opens up spiritual gifts for them. So the one lady that said she saw Metatron, she wasn't psychic at all. She started coming to me when I used to be really shy about this. I wouldn't even get on the phone, and I would only do all my healings or my sessions over text message. So I did a session over text message with her, and she emailed me the next day, and she's like, you probably get this all the time, but it's been 4 days. I still feel like my body is pulsating. And she goes, now I can, like, when I'm talking to people, I know what they're going to say before they say it. And she was like, you have literally changed my life. And I was like, okay, like, cool. And then, but she's still around, and she's now the one that saw Metatron, and like her gifts just keep expanding. And so
really,
like in the worst, like I have trouble meditating. I want to be more intuitive, but it's very hard for me. I'm very cluttered. So could you help me do that?
The energy can help you do that for sure. And then, so what I started doing with my live healings is I've started incorporating theta binaural beats, and that helps people relax and get people in the mode. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no. And then a lot of people too, when they come to me, they don't feel the energy right away. And I say, so I think what we are, we're two different things. We're like a straw. like a coffee straw, super thin. You can't get very much liquid through it.
Mhm.
So the more you do this sort of work, the bigger your straw gets, until eventually your straw is like a tube and a lot of energy can flow through you. But a lot of people come to this with a really thin straw, and you can't feel much. You can't get much light through your body. So that's one thing. That's one analogy I use. And the other analogy I use is like, say, like a drainage ditch, or say we're one size our whole life, but when you're a kid, you can get a lot of energy flowing really easily because you don't have anything gunking it up.
Mhm.
And the longer you live, the more things that you kind of get clogged in your drain gets more restricted until eventually, you can barely feel anything. It's, the water takes a long time to drain. So I've called this work spiritual Drano. It goes through, cleans out your tube. And the more you do it, the more clear you get, then you will start twitching and you will start feeling things. Then your third eye will open.
Do you see it? Do you see, like, if you're healing someone, do you see the energy going through that person?
No, because I kind of imagine I can, but it's usually a blank person that I put in front of me, like a blank avatar, and I'll put like a ball of light around what I want to heal. So I see the ball of light more than the actual person. And then I just move the ball of light around, and I wait for my eyes to stop twitching. So, but what I always say to people that don't believe it is put it on around a child or an animal, because they're super sensitive to energy. And a lot of people will say, oh, my dog that, never comes near me it always comes and sits on my lap as soon as the video starts. Or I have videos on my Instagram of them showing, just turn on around a kid. The kid doesn't have to meditate. You don't have to meditate. I don't think anybody needs to meditate to feel this.
Really?
And there's people that do. There's people that have tried not to meditate. So they said, oh, I didn't really believe in this, what you're doing. So I had the video on while I was doing housework, but I felt the energy so much that I had to go lay down. So it works that way for people too.
Do you
like kids?
No, I'm saying, do you get colds? Like, do you get a sore throat or something, and you could heal that with energy?
Yeah, I have used it on myself. They say it's harder for a healer to heal themselves. So I always say healers need healers.
Okay.
It's just one of those things that's just hard for us to do to ourselves. But I do try it on myself. I get really worn out from the energy. If you watch my videos, I was really shy to show it at the beginning because it's literally like someone plugs me into an electrical outlet or puts a taser on me. And it's just like my body tenses up and my eyes twitch and I feel like I look really weird. And so I don't like people to watch me. Okay. But it's undeniable when it's happening.
And can anyone go back to those videos and be healed from those videos, or does it have to be live?
Yeah. No, really? So like a lot of my original videos, and I even have a whole healing channel called Shaman Oaks Healing, and they were all pre-recorded videos. Okay. And I always say, also, if you don't believe in this, go and just read through the comments, especially the very first healing video I have. It's called like Healing Experimentation. It's only like 10, 15 minutes long, but I think there's like 300,000 views or 200,000 views, but thousands and thousands of comments of people all saying similar things. If I felt all sorts of things. People have mediumship experiences through it, which I find interesting because it's all love and light, which I hate that because it's so cliche, but that's what it is. Like all I'm doing is channeling light, and through that light, anyone you have a love connection to can come through. So people will have a loved one come through during the actual session, or they've had it come through during a pre-recorded, or they'll have it later on that night. So for whatever reason, it opens a portal, even though I don't even really like saying that word because it sounds too woo-woo, but it's like, that's what it does.
That's what you're not. That's what I'm sorry, Eric, but that's what you're not. You're like, I saw you and you're not woo-woo. You don't have that image. You look like a dude who like plays Warzone on Call of Duty.
Thank you. I take that as a compliment.
No, it's great. Question about mediumship. How did you develop that? And like, what came first? Was it energy healing? Was it mediumship kind of all at once? Like what was your order of enlightenment?
It was mediumship, but I think that's also something that I was born with. So when I was a kid, I saw ghosts and I hated it. And it wasn't around until about 8th grade that it turned off. And then I could be a normal kid because I'd always like sneak into my parents' room and sleep in their room or sleep next to my sister's bed because I just hated being alone because I would just see things and hear things. But that turned off around 8th grade, and then I was nothing. And then when I started meditating, just because people suggest that to, be more successful or be a better, human. I started seeing people when I meditated that I didn't know, like looking at me. I never heard anything, but I would see them looking at me like they were talking to me, but I couldn't hear them. And it weirded me out. And so then I stopped meditating, and I didn't meditate again for like a year or two, because I was like, I don't want to open whatever I had as a kid. I don't want to open that back up again, because I don't want to be scared to sleep by myself, because that's like, I'm a grown ass man. That's stupid. So, but it was like occasionally I just would dabble back into it. I'd be like, well, because I would have a lot of, I don't know if it's anxiety or stress or what, but that's, I think, a reason I would get back into meditation. And then I kept seeing these people. And then one day I was like, you know what, just who cares? Let's see where this goes. Mm-hmm. And started having more and more mediumship experiences. Then I started taking like a course on it. No, what happened is I was around some girl at work that I knew her father was dead. But I wasn't trying to be a medium. I was walking around with her getting lunch. And all of a sudden, when I was eating food, I kept smelling cigarette smoke on these two fingers. And I was like, why do I have cigarette smoke on my fingers? And so then that night, I just randomly went home and I was like, how do you know if you're a medium? And I started watching this video, and he was like, it's very common for mediums to smell smoke, like cigarette smoke. And I was like, no way. And I was like, oh, wait, it's like her dad is dead. And I was like, when I go into work tomorrow, I'm going to ask her if her dad is dead. And if her dad was a smoker, because I had no idea. Right. And I was like, okay, this is a really weird question. I apologize if this is like completely out of left field, but I know your dad is passed, but was he by chance a smoker? And she goes, yeah, why? And I was like, well, because yesterday when I was hanging out with you, I kept smelling smoke on my fingers. And then she just immediately teared up and she's like, I smelled that too. And I was like, whoa. And so from then on, I just started like looking into it more, watching more videos, went to go see another medium. Even though I had that experience, I still would fight it. And I was like, it was a coincidence. Maybe it was, right. I kept giving all these excuses in my head. So I was like, well, I'm going to go watch a professional medium. Her name is Fleur, who's really popular in LA. And I watched her, and she was like, she read people on either side of me and was doing just amazing evidence that I was like, wow, she's legit. And right before she got off stage, she pointed to someone. She was like, oh, before I go, last thing was your dad a smoker? I just smelled smoke on my fingers. And I was like, what? Like that? I literally just said that to a friend. It was like 2 days before that. And I was like, okay. And I walked up to her afterwards, and I was like, and I told her everything that had been happening to me. And I was like, what do I do? And she's like, come take a course. Like, I'm teaching these courses. And she goes, you don't have to do the beginner's course. You can do this advanced course. Right. And so I did that. And then from then on, it was, it just kept snowballing. But at the same time, I have to say, I still fought it for a year, 2 years. I still would go, this is too weird. This is too crazy. Maybe I've gone crazy. Like, maybe I need to go talk to a psychiatrist, because this just doesn't seem, this isn't normal. Right. So do you go to like Starbucks and you're talking to the barista, and she's like, here's your caramel macchiato, and her father's coming through? Does that happen to you, where you get images? No. Our mother does. Like our mother, that'll happen to our mom. Well, see, that's a reason why that's why I don't like to do mediumship so much, is that I don't feel like it's as strong as everyone else that I hear. Like, right. I've had experiences that I can't deny, but when I hear, there's people that, like your mom, that I've never been like that. So you're not a practicing medium. No, so it's still, the reason, and I don't like mediumship. One, I guess, it's super hard for me to trust it, because it feels so much like your imagination. Yes, so, yes. And then it's really easy to taint the information with whatever you're thinking about. And so I've just seen so many people, and I've even I had a reading with somebody. I guess is what took me off of the track, is I was doing a reading for somebody, and through the course of the reading, I could find out that his daughter died back in like the early 90s. And through the course of the reading, I found out he was driving the car. He fell asleep, killed his daughter, or his daughter died because he fell asleep. And the whole time during the reading, I was like, you were driving your car and another car hit you. And he was like, no, like you were driving a car and then something else happened. I kept trying not to make it his fault, because I didn't want to say that. It tore me up inside to say, you fell asleep and ended up killing your daughter. Like, I was like, whoa, and you could hear the pain in his voice of how much guilt he's been carrying for 20 years. Right. And I was like, this is real. Like, this is actually like really tough and heavy for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. I first got into it because I was like, oh, this is a cool like party trick. And I was just like, I don't feel like I'm ready for it. Right. So I kind of like backed away. That's what our mom said. Our mom said, you have to
you got to be full force into it. Like there's no really like half-ass mediumship, because we'll do live readings with her on Wednesday nights, 8:30 p.m. on our channel. And like, she will get people. She will legit like meet people that she's never spoken to before. And, you know, I don't know.
It's 100% real. Like I'm a definitely believer. I just don't know how I feel about myself doing it. I always say like, if I had an angel footstep, land next to me, then that would change how I view things. But I don't have those experiences. I haven't seen a ghost. People always ask, "Oh, do you see ghosts like walking around?" No, like I haven't.
No, we used to see a ghost when we were young. There was a ghost in our middle house, and there was this dude that just would walk past on the hallway consistently every day
on loop. And I didn't really believe it until I invited one of my friends over, and I'm like, sit down here, look out the corner of your eye. What do you see? He's like, I see a white kind of ball of light passing through. Everybody saw it. So it was a very pronounced type of ghost. So what is Shaman Oaks? What does that name mean?
Yeah, where did you come up with that? It's like super cool. I thought your name was Shaman Oaks.
Yeah, that's what I try to tell people that it's not, or I want people to know it's not, because people will think I'm a shaman. So again, like I started my YouTube channel because of psychedelics, and I didn't want anyone to know who I was. And I was currently living in Sherman Oaks, California. So
gotcha.
One day I was driving to work and I saw a license plate that said Sherman Oaks, and my friend had jokingly been calling me a shaman because I was super into DMT and ayahuasca. And so I was like, oh, Shaman Oaks is a funny, clever name that, people will remember. And then it just kind of stuck. So I just like Shaman Oaks, everything, shamanoaks.com, Shaman Oaks, Instagram, just because it's the name of the channel. I like to think it's a place, not a person, but
it works.
I've slowly evolved into basically a shaman, because they are mediums and healers. And so it's like, it's interesting how, life takes you on a path.
It makes sense. We, when my mom was really starting to practice her, mediumship, I'm like, Mom, we got to do this. We have to do this. And then Michael came with her birthday present.
Yeah,
and then it was
her 1 square foot of land in Scotland. My wife and I bought her one square foot of land in Scotland, so it made her a lady.
So then we called her. No, her psychic medium name is Lady Phyllis. So we got ladyphyllis.com. So it just kind of all.
And she's like, she's reading with people. She read someone. This is the craziest thing. I had a good friend that I connected with on Facebook, and mind you, Eric and I just joined Facebook about 4 months ago. So like, that's how like late to the game we are on Facebook. And we connected with this girl on Facebook who wanted to connect with her mother, and she saw our mom doing live psychic readings, and she's like, I'd love to get a reading. I said, sure. I connected them. A girl that I went to high school with died of breast cancer and came through for this friend that was getting the reading. That I knew the girl that died of breast cancer. I used to hang out with her in elementary school, and I had no idea she was even dead. Her name was Allie. I don't want to say her name or anything, but like her last name. But like there's no way. I didn't even know it. Right. And like this whole thing where mediums go, they say, oh, you can look it up on YouTube and Facebook and look it up on your profiles. Man, the stuff our mother comes through, or the stuff that we get through Thomas John or George.
You can't Google essence of people. You know what I mean? Like that you can't search that on Facebook. You can search memes on Facebook, but like you can't search the essence of who somebody was or currently is.
So this goes back to what we had before with the Archangels. Eric went to the same guy, the same medium, about 2-3 months after I went. And my dad made this guy, George Anderson, probably the best medium again in the world.
Have you ever heard of George?
Do you know George Anderson?
The name sounds familiar, but I'm not familiar with him.
Will change your life. It's like a DMT trip without smoking anything.
Yeah,
really and truly.
There's life before George and there's life after George.
A reading with George Anderson. And our dad came through and he literally bought us something through this guy. So he bought us the 7 Archangel seal. Let me see. I don't know if I could.
It's not focusing, but yeah.
Well, it's the 7 Archangel seal. And he's like, use this for protection in 2020. So like the stuff that they're doing. And like, we were just getting into the Archangels then. And our dad made this guy go on Amazon saying, buy this for both of my sons and my wife. So we feel more connected with our father. He's not here. There's something to it. Again, that energy, right? That, do you feel that how do you deal with haters? Like, so Eric and I are finally dealing with haters. We finally have a group of people that absolutely want to punch us in the face.
I have a guy using my profile picture
on
the
great.
internet, and he's like, making up fake Twitter accounts, and like, I'm like, cool. I like
this is great. Like we made it. Like we did it. How do you deal with haters? Because you're dealing with some really touchy subjects.
Well, that's what I just take it as a badge of honor when it happens. Like the fact that people care that much, then I think it's interesting. I always just tell people to try it. I say, don't believe me. Like, do not come to this believe. You don't have to believe in it, but you just have to be open to it. And then just be open to it. That's all I really ever tell anybody. And because I understand, I said mean things about mediums and healers too. So it's like I completely get it. But if they get too mean, then I just block them.
Right.
So that's the beautiful thing.
I have a million questions for you, Alan. How did you get from seeing ghosts and being scared when you were a kid and kind of knowing that there is something there to becoming an atheist, which is the complete opposite of what you're doing now? Like, how did you kind of flip-flop back and forth?
It was all in college. I took a course called The History of Religion. And it was saying that, at the beginning, people didn't know why the sun moved, sun god. Why don't water god or rain god? Everything had a god if they couldn't figure it out. And then as science progressed, if they figured out, okay, the sun moves because of this, we don't need a sun god. The moon moves because of this, we don't need a moon god. And I just kept thinking, well, if there's always one god, how come he didn't say so from the beginning? And I don't know. It just felt. I think there was there's a little documentary on YouTube. I don't know if it's a documentary or not, called Zeitgeist. And it talked about how it's, the Jesus and all of that sort of stuff is just based on pagan traditions. Yep. And I don't know. I just started, and there's things in the Bible that I grew up in a household where you say everything in the Bible is 100% the way it's supposed to be. Man didn't make anything up. And then when I was reading things about Jesus, was saying like, he never said slavery was wrong. He never said, he said the proper way to treat a slave, but he never said slavery is wrong. And then I was just like, I can't get on board with that. Like, there's certain things in the Bible I just can't get on board with. And a psychologist told me once upon a time that I say everything in black and white. And that's what happened. I was like, either I'm 100% in or 100% out. And so I was like, I'm out. But then I just slowly got back into it.
But like the idea, so Eric and I are technically, we're atheists in that same respect. I don't believe in religion. I think religion's fun to cook with your wife and family and have Christmas and open the presents and the traditions of it. I don't think there's a guy in the sky. There's no guy.
I think heritage is incredibly important, where your family came from, what they died for, who they died for. I think that's what makes me not follow a religion, but to be proud of who I am and what my heritage was. But
you don't think there's a guy in the sky pointing to you and saying you're going to hell? And like George Carlin once said, and he loves money, Yeah. There's a God in the sky and he loves, give me money. I don't buy that for 1 second. And no offense to the people that do believe in that stuff. Good for them. But for me, it's something so much like the way your experiences were when you left your body. There's something so much bigger out there.
Yeah. And then I think near-death experiences helped me. I binged watched near-death experiences. I wouldn't watch the ones where you could tell they were where they had a religious axe to grind. Yes. But the ones like atheists and agnostic people that have religious or near-death experiences where they say they meet God and God is all loving, he doesn't care, there's no hell, and I'm like, okay, that I can believe that. And so it took me watching probably hundreds. So when I get into something, I watch all of them. So the same thing with mediumship. I really liked John Edward when I was with the show Crossing Over. Yep. And so when I was going to get back into mediumship, I think I binged watched. There's a playlist on YouTube and it was like 200 something John Edward videos. I put that on twice. I went through every single one of those twice. And I was like, okay, yeah.
He's ridiculous. He's ridiculous. Thomas John is really good. He was also on our podcast. Thomas John. He has the Thomas John Experience on CBS. Have you watched that?
I haven't, but I've had a lot of friends talk about him. And
Thomas is he's great.
A plus.
He's really, really good.
Yeah.
So what's the future for Shaman Oaks? What are your plans? And if you have to take a drink, go right ahead.
It's just my goal right now is to get energy healing to as many people, or get people exposed to it as many people as possible. Because my whole thing is it's so life-changing when you experience it that I don't understand why more people aren't aware of it. Because I had never really heard of it. I heard of healing, but what I experience or what I do, it's different. It's a visceral thing that you can't deny. Like you cannot deny it when your eyes start twitching on their own, or your arms start twitching, or you feel this pulsing in your body. You can feel electricity going through your body. Like it's undeniable. So like with a lot of spirituality, you can go, well, did I imagine that? Is it in my head? You know, I personally can talk myself out of a lot of things. You can't talk yourself out of this once you experience it. So I want more people to experience it so that it can also be studied by science. So
just 1 second, Eric, when you, I was watching your ayahuasca stuff, your videos, and you said the second trip that you had and you walked in and it was Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Animal Kingdom, Six Flags Great Adventure. It was when someone says, oh, there's a park down the road. And there's a really fun park, but it's a slide and it's a sand pit, and you can go into that park. And then when you go to that park, and it's 10 Magic Kingdoms in one, and we're big Disney people, we love Disney. So like, is that really what it's like when you go to that side, wherever our father is or wherever your loved ones are? Is that really what it's like some big freaking amusement park?
Oh, I just use the amusement park analogy in meaning that. Yeah, when I say like you go to a park, and the only park that you've ever heard of has a slide and, you know, and a swing set, and to you that's like the pinnacle, that's the highest you can ever imagine, right? It's the highest, it's the biggest thing you can imagine. So, but when you actually die, or when you actually go to the other side, it's like every amusement park ever combined in one, when you had no idea amusement parks even existed. Like you only know of slides and swing sets and merry-go-rounds.
It's amazing. What an analogy.
It's astounding. It's like when people say you can't put it into words, you really can't. Like that's why it's so hard for so many people to talk about it, is because it's like trying to describe a color to a blind person. You just can't do it. Like, what does red look like?
Right. Your interview with Peter Panagore was the interview that turned me on to your channel. I was looking up near-death experiences. Like you, binge watched them all.
And also, FYI, we're having Eben Alexander on. We just got him.
Yeah, I can give you his assistant's email if you want to get him on your show. He seems very open to talking about this, and we're big Proof of Heaven fans. But I'm trying to get Peter Panagore on. I would.
He'll do it.
Will he? I emailed him. I haven't heard back. But if
I'll message him. Sure.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. We'd love to, like the NDEs. Have you
ever had one? Have you ever had an NDE?
No, I mean no, I haven't. But that second ayahuasca, or the second DMT experience, it's similar to a lot of theirs, where people talk about turning into a ball of light. But I haven't. No, I was perfectly alive when I did it. When it happened,
so so you can become an energy healer without having to do DMT or ayahuasca.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So these are just more experiences, just so you can expand.
I only did it because I wanted to believe in something. So, and like I was into near-death experiences because I'd heard of those. I was agnostic at the time, but I was like, okay, are all these people like making it up? And then somehow I came across a DMT, and in this book I read, DMT, the Spirit Molecule, and in it he talks.
It was a movie, too.
Yeah, the book is a little bit more. It's all these like case studies, so it's a little bit more technical, but yeah, I mean, that's the reason I did it. And I was really depressed at the time, and I was ready to die. If that's, I was ready to take that next step. And so, when I smoked it and I had that experience, it was, I don't know, it was life-changing. It just really was. I don't recommend it. I don't say people should do it or they need to do it. And I still don't do it all the time. Like I haven't done it in years. Outside of ayahuasca, I hadn't touched anything in probably 5 years, but, it's definitely because people go to those sort of substances usually when they're lost and they want some sort of answer. And that's what I was at the time. I was super lost and I wanted something. I wanted to know if I could believe in something. I guess that's a better way of saying it, because I didn't want to believe in something. I wanted to believe in the truth, whatever the truth was.
Do you now, though? Do you know that for a fact, undeniably, it's like I went to a medium once and I said, is there really an afterlife? And he says, do you love your children? I said, yes. He's like, well, but do you believe you love your children? You can't believe there's an afterlife. You have to know. You have to love that there's an afterlife. There's no belief in it. There is an afterlife. Do you believe that?
Yeah. Well, it's not a belief. It's a knowing. It's like, I don't believe that this is I know this is water. Like, I know this is in my hand. Yeah. I know.
Right.
I do. Yeah.
If it's
I'm not scared of death.
You're not.
Mm-mm.
How old are you, if you don't mind my asking?
39.
Are you really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 42.
Oh, there you go.
Turning 38 in January.
Yeah.
So, have you ever considered
Oh.
writing a book?
Yes, I was going to ask that too.
I mean, I say that all the time in my head whenever something goes wrong in my life or that I'm not happy about. I just go, "Oh, that's a chapter in the book." But no, I've never. I don't feel like I've accomplished anything yet to have a book. To be
You
honest
have
with you,
100,000 YouTube subscribers. You've done DMT and ayahuasca. I feel that
And you're an energy healer.
you're an
That's a
energy
pretty-
healer.
that's a pretty interesting story.
I think there's 100 pages there, Alan. You know, I think like you definitely.
yeah. I guess I just don't know what the ending would be. It would just be like, and to be continued. So I guess that's.
But the ending is it's perpetual. It's never going to end. You came onto the show and you're kind of getting into Archangels, and we've been into Archangels now for 6 months.
But we knew nothing about energy healing.
And I'm taking a dive after this is over, and I'm going to. So I've been dealing with vertigo for.
Will you do private energy healing?
Yeah, I was going to ask that too.
I mean, I will for you guys if you want it, sure. If that's what you're asking. But right now I stopped doing one-on-ones because I want to do my group stuff. So everything I do now is free and everything is donation based. So what's interesting that you brought up Eben Alexander. Because do you know Sacred Acoustics?
Yeah.
So I've actually been talking to Karen, and I now use one of their binaural beats on my.
Really?
Yeah.
So really?
Theta binaural beats helps people relax. So that's all, because all you really need to do is to get relaxed to experience energy. And so
I mean, we still have a few minutes. Your past lives, we tried getting Dr. Brian Weiss on the show. Our mom is obsessed with Dr. Brian Weiss. I read his book when I was very immature. So I was like, I don't really believe in this.
And she had somebody come to the house to do past lives.
Right.
And I kind of remember, but I don't know if it was my imagination or not, but my mind automatically goes there now, where it's like Old West. And I just imagine like cowboy hat and in a bar, in a saloon type of setting. And I thought that, and then as it was happening, I'm like, this is bullshit.
Or did you watch Back to the Future 3 the week before, and you're thinking, man, was I listening to Doc and Marty?
So I don't know, but I don't remember my dreams. I don't remember a lot of things. I have a really bad memory, but I remember that. So I don't know.
Do you remember your dreams, Alan?
Yeah, I have very vivid dreams, but I don't always remember all the details. But yeah. I'm a very vivid dreamer.
And past lives, you were burned at the stake. Right?
One of them. Yeah. So that was like my second one. The first one, like, it helps when you can figure it out. So like the very first one I had, I was on a ship. I was British, and I saw a Japanese guy come up and shoot me with an old-timey one-shot pistol. And I came out of it going, well, did the British ever even fight the Japanese? Like that's super far away, especially in the days with one-shot pistols, single-shot pistols. And then, so I Googled it, and there was one war where they fought in the Opium War, and like 69 British soldiers died. And so I was like, I know I didn't know that. Right. So I know. Right. So that's, I don't know, that one helped push me over the edge into believing it for myself. But yeah, I always say, just do something for yourself. You don't have to believe in it. You don't have to believe other people's stories. Just go try to have an experience of your own.
Do you think that there is an awakening happening now? Because we were talking about it on our live show on Wednesday, where we're going into the age of Aquarius now. Do you think that there is going to be a shift where
that this year was the dark night of the soul? This 2020 was the finale, and now we're going into another 2,000 years of connectivity of higher consciousness. That's what the age of Aquarius, and we've heard that from a few mediums.
I mean, yeah, I've heard that. I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, it certainly makes sense. I just met too many people that say, "Oh, I'm awakened" or whatever, but they're not. Like, they're terrible people, So I just I don't like using that term, because it just seems like the thing that everyone's saying these days. So,
right.
But yeah, I mean, the fact that I'm doing this, and that so when I first got into mediumship, when I would take a course, it would be almost all girls in the room, and I'd be like the one single dude. But then now there's like so many guys showing up to my live streams. There's so many guys like talking about mediumship, and I'm like, so something's happened, because I can definitely see how the demographics have changed over the past like 3 years. So.
I think it goes in line with the internet and just YouTube and connectivity, and how it's just information is spreading so fast. And in my opinion, there's so much proof There's never been so much proof in the world about near-death experiences, about mediumship, about energy healing. We have so much proof now. I really think the next 10 years it's going to explode into the world.
I
There's
think you're.
I think I agree.
I think you're leading the charge, though, Alan. I really think that you're one of the guys. It's hard to find good content on YouTube, and you're definitely leading the
real
charge.
content. It's real content.
Yeah, like you have the experiences to talk about. You know, like your near-death experience interviews. Obsessed. They're brilliant. They're really, really good. You're asking interesting questions. It's not dry. It's not boring. You know,
Yeah,
well, because it's probably what you guys do though, because you're just interested in the topic and you want to know. Like, so I read those books and I'd be like, wow, I want to ask this question. No one ever asked this certain question, so it's like I want to interview you. So yeah,
that's.
I mean, doing the same.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
We love interviewing YouTubers and
influencers and people who've had these experiences. Like, you know, we did the George Anderson interview, and you know, he said it's really interesting hearing from his client's perspective. That, you know, someone that he's been reading for 40 years and then asking these questions, he doesn't interact with his clients. Same thing with Eben Alexander. I can't wait to talk to him, but like, we couldn't wait for this particular podcast. You really have something special with Shaman Oaks. I hope you never go back to atheism. I hope you go like double down, man. Look into the Archangels. Start working.
I will. I'm going to look at that book too. Yeah.
My dad gave me a list of books through this medium, and I have all the books: Wealth Magic, 72 Angels of Magic, The Power of the Psalms. Bro, it's Mario Brothers leveling up. And that was amazing when you said that it was like a video, like we're in a video game console, right? That we're an 8-bit Mario. We're gamers, Eric and I. We've been playing video games our entire life. We have not stopped. Can you explain to our audience what you experienced in that? I think that was part 2 of ayahuasca. Or I think
that was part 2. Yeah. So it was one of the things that I asked, or God just kind of showed me. It was like this knowing. It was like a download, even though I hate that word too. But it was basically what we're experiencing is one game of one video game console. Everything we're experiencing, even angels, God, past life regressions, everything is just is in, like, say, the original Mario. But where I was outside of all the video game consoles, and that's one game on one game console. There's multiple games for each game console, and there's multiple higher game consoles. So there's Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, GameCube, whatever, and the graphics get better and better. Like what we're experiencing now is like the lowest of the low. It's like an 8-bit Mario compared to HD 4K, Mario or whatever. I don't know, Mario Galaxy. It's like that's the difference is that's vast in terms of how little we've scratched the surface with existing.
So what's the point of this then? Is this to come back and, like what you said, experience emotions? Is that really what it's all about?
I see. That's what I haven't figured out yet.
Right.
So sometimes I think it's, if you looked into the law of one, the raw material.
No.
Okay. It's like, that's what's, that's what it's about, saying that we're all just trying to get either love of service of self or service to others. So that's the distinction we have right now. And so the more that you're service to others, the higher you go up on, think of it like as a magnet, the more positive polarized you get. And then service to self is the more negative polarized you get. And each side is trying to what's the word? Purify or become the most of that, like 100% pure love of others or love of self. But neither one is wrong, because God is both. God is everything. So that's what I always try to say, is God is everything. So there is no like wrong. It's just the dark side. There's the dark side and there's the light side, but the dark side is still part of God, because God is everything.
When you saw God, what did it look like? Because I don't think God is a male or female. I think it's both. But like, what did it look like? What did it feel like?
It's just a presence. So it's just an overall, you feel like you're like, I think I call the title of the video or the title of one of the videos, Inside God.
Inside God.
Like that's what I felt like I was. It feels like everything. It's like, it's the weirdest thing, because you can't really put it into words. No, I don't believe it's a male. I don't believe it's female.
Right.
But it's just this. It feels just incredibly powerful and incredibly loving at the same time. Like, it's just, I haven't ever found a good analogy outside of that.
Really? You killed it with the 8-bit and you did amazing with the amusement park stuff. I mean, like right then and there, it's like, oh, I get what that looks
So,
like.
you know, because a lot what I've heard about God is that God is like a collective consciousness or collection of souls of everybody who's kind of ever existed. And we're there and we're here both at the same time. We just only know that we're here. So are you
Right.
saying that it's a singular entity?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that is a good question, Eric. Because
Yeah,
I don't
I mean,
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Let him talk, bro.
Sorry, bro.
No, I think I like the analogy that people talk about in terms of it's like God is the ocean and we're a drop of water.
Yeah.
So we're both things at the same time. If you get a drop of water, it's still a drop of water. It's not any less of the ocean. It's just not part of the ocean right now. Or like your body is contained like trillions of cells. But point to the one cell that's Eric or the one cell that's Michael. You can't. But you can keep taking away cells, but it's like all those cells together make up you. All of us souls, I guess, make up God, but it feels at the same time bigger than that.
Mm-hmm.
It's super hard to, I don't know.
Yeah, no.
I don't know. That's actually what I don't know.
That's what you're looking for, man. That's what we're all kind of like on the path back to God. Our Ultimate Reality is another great book. It's by Adrian Cooper, and he talks about the Kabbalah and archangels and what heaven is like and all that, and you know the DMT and all that. But it's you're like an encyclopedia of spirituality on YouTube, and it's such a breath of fresh air that we can rely on you and your experiences on our spiritual journeys. And we want to thank you for Shaman Oaks. And, you have a platform anytime that you want to come on to Okon Bros and, spread the message of love. And if you want to do a healing one time with us, I mean, Eric and I would love to, do it on our channel because we're in the travel industry and I'm trying to make it in the entertainment industry. I'm a writer. I've written 20 books and I'm trying to grow spiritually. That's what Eric and I are doing. This is our brainchild, the Okon Bros. And YouTube's the broadcast, right? YouTube is the it's the ether.
It's an amazing place that you can have 100,000 subscribers and you're really helping people, and that is really what you should be proud of, that you get to do that. It's really great.
It's remarkable. It really is. And we believe in everything you're doing.
Well, thank you. I don't know how many you guys have, but what you're doing is amazing too. So I'm super stoked for because I don't trust most people that do this sort of content. Yeah, they're too woo-woo for me, or they're too whatever. But you guys seem like totally my kind of dude. So
we appreciate that. And tell our audience where they could find you. Plug away.
No, Shaman Oaks, YouTube, shamanoaks.com, website. Everything Shaman Oaks Instagram, Shaman Oaks Facebook, Shaman Oaks Twitter.
And I'm gonna go and I'm gonna be part of your sessions, and I feel like everybody has some healing to do. Everybody has some unanswered questions that they're looking to help for. Let's go to Shaman Oaks, go to his YouTube channel, and let's all get some help. And I think that everybody could use that. You can't get hurt by it. So
you can't. And I do it live every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I stopped doing it on Fridays, but and there's a schedule on my website because I do. It's in the evenings for most people that you do in the US. But then, so Monday, Wednesday, I do it in the evenings. Tuesday, Thursdays, I do it early afternoon because I have a lot of people that live in Australia and the UK that want to watch. So I want to have to make it easy for them to watch as well.
Alan, if I had a drink, I'd raise it to 1 million subscribers for you, man. We want to get to your 100,000, and we want you to get to that 1 million because you absolutely 100% deserve it. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for coming on, man.
Please like, subscribe, and share our show. We appreciate everybody tuning in. Check out Shaman Oaks. Let's all get healed, and hang out for 2 minutes. And I'm going to play out the outro.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.